you for watching this edition of the Unpopular Review. If you like what you're watching, please subscribe to us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at UPRYEPILW. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to our friends at Yep I Like Wrestling on the same social medias at YEPILW. Yep.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Unpopular Review Entertainment. We're here reviewing 21 Bridges. Shout out to Chadwick Boseman because we had to give a little respect and credit to him. We already did Black Panther, so let's go ahead to 21 Bridges. And I am joined by two of our co-hosts today, Chief DiBiase and Triboro. I'm sorry. You know, I'm not a New Yorker. All right, and then let me tell you. Let me shout out, whatever. Shout out to all the New York slang and accents that happened during this movie. But anyway, right here, 21 Bridges, right. Chief DiBiase. This movie, 1 hour, 37 minutes of jam-packed mystery, action, thriller, whatever you want to say. Really interested in talking about it. But before we start, we're going to start with none other than synopsis. Mr. Best, take it away.
There we go. Oh, by the way, shout out to Chrissy, who's still in the Phantom Zone, chopping it up with Feora and the other. All right, synopsis for 21 Bridges. Very much by the book, NYC police detective is pushed to his limit when a robbery turned homicide starts to look more and more like a police cover-up. Devoted to the badge ever since his own father was killed in the job years before, can this black and white detective with a reputation of point and shoot overcome his own anger and follow the evidence regardless of where it takes him?
All right, so that is the synopsis for 21 Bridges, and we're going to go right into it with it. It was the best of scenes. It was the worst of scenes, and we're going to start off with the person who actually picked this movie as part of his Every Single Thursday. We actually review a movie that was a pick of one of the hosts. This week was 21 Bridges and was done by Chief DiBiase over there to my left. So, what was your favorite scene coming from this movie?
This movie was action-packed. Truth be told, the reason that I picked it is to show respect to Chad. May he rest in peace, because, this is actually one of the movies that I think is overlooked because of Black Panther. Because, Black Panther is such a big thing that some of his other movies are overlooked, and this movie I loved it from the moment that I saw the preview at the movie theater, and it did not disappoint. So my favorite scene in this movie is the part where I forgot his name, but one of the robbers, when he was talking to Chad and telling him, like, look, man, this feels like a setup. This whole thing feels like a setup, because it didn't feel that way in the movie, at least up to that point. You didn't actually start to see that whole situation with the coke and the lies that they were told, or the lies that everybody was told. You didn't really start to really view that until that scene. And I'm talking about the scene where he's talking about, like, look, this whole thing seems like a setup because this and this and this and that, and people can't move 300 keys of this and this place and that place. Like, it was just
what
amazing.
Scene are you talking about?
Okay, when he's holding in the
meat locker, right?
Yeah, in the meat locker, when he's holding the partner and has a gun to her face,
mm-hmm.
Then he's pretty much just revealing everything that he saw, and then she's continually telling him to shoot him. Right, but then at the same time, like, at that moment, you feel like she's telling him to shoot him to protect her life, but ultimately, what you see is that she's telling him to shoot him to protect her lies. So, like, after watching the whole movie, that was really one of my favorite parts, because it really brought me back in, and it really made me think, like, wait, what the hell is going on here? Because at that point, you already see that they killed one of the robbers, and the second robber was about to get caught, but then it was still like the middle of the movie. So I'm just like, wait a minute. And then he's spilling all these beans, and I'm just like, what's going on here? So it really brought me back in. So that is literally one of my favorite scenes, because it really made me more interested in wanting to see the end of the story. because like you, James, I was definitely at the edge of my seat watching this movie.
I told you that in confidence. Easy.
Oh, sorry.
I will say for me, the turn of this movie, since we already, spoiler alert, for those who haven't watched it, I saw the turn coming beforehand. I suspected it from the onset. And to be honest with you, I don't know if it's because if it was hinted at. I think it was hinted at, right? But again, they left it up. They left it gray, right? To be fair, but or my distrust that it's plausible that they were up to something. But I think based on the dialogue from the onset of when they first went in there and the reaction of the guy in the wine cellar, to me, that shouted out that something more is going on than who we thought the protagonist at that time that they knew. So that made me think that maybe I had to open my eyes wider to allow for things that possibly I wouldn't have allowed for before, because his behavior was such that he was very confident for a man that had a gun to his head. At first, I thought maybe he was connected to the mob or something like that. But when the police showed up, again, they weren't coming to look for crime. They showed up because, hey, we're supposed to meet, Joe Blow, our guy, if they were there, excuse me, on a not on a house call, but on a regular visit. They just happen to be in uniform. So that's why I said, no, I think something's up with these cops. And it so happens that these people also robbed this dude of 50 pounds of cocaine. But I don't know, Chris, if you want to give your best to see, and I'll jump into mine.
Go ahead, if you go ahead and do that, and I'll follow up after you're done. That's fine.
Okay. So I had two best of sequences in this movie. For me, the best one, I have to agree with Vic, is there's a chase montage that almost doesn't let up except for a costume change. And I say costume change loosely, but even in the sense of he had to do that in order to keep running, right? So he literally only stops to change and find out a bit of information that he needs. She's in the Phantom Zone, Matum, in the Phantom Zone. She'll be back. She gets paroled in about 5 years. Okay. So, and then it picks up and it continues onto the street, and then it spills over onto the train. And I love that sequence. I love the way they shot that. I love how, even though Chadwick Boseman got on the radio several times and said, yo, I want this guy alive. I want him brought in alive. Everybody in blue is shooting to kill. But prior to that, everybody was saying about him, he's the guy that does that. Even IAB was saying to him, you think you're a rogue, agent just going around shooting people. But in the movie, he actually doesn't do that. It's everybody else who does it, who's trying to shoot that. So I like that sequence. And then for the same reason, the cinematography of it, in the opening, we're talking about a robbery. Well, it turns into a homicide. Homicide, when cops come into that, and they have these suppressor guns, these automatic suppressor rifles, and they're taking out these people left and right. They're laying down cover fire, and it's so ordered and organized and meticulous. But then the movie explains why they're so skilled at that. I won't give that away, but there's explanation as to why they're able to do that with such precision and able to keep their calm. And the explanation makes perfect sense as to why that is. But it was so good, and you see the skill level compared to police officers as compared to, I won't give that part away, who they turn out to be. These robbers, who they turn out to be. So it was just shot beautifully. It looked excellent. I mean, I don't delight in people getting killed, but if it's, let's say, a horror picture, let the kills be interesting. You know what I'm saying? And this way, the way they shot that, it was brilliant.
Good things. And okay, so C Superior was letting you know she'll be back next week. This week she was on suspension because she still hasn't seen Beetlejuice, and I could have sworn I asked her to do that a while ago. But hey, women are stubborn. All right, so let's go ahead and get to some better scenes. I like the bank robbery. I don't know what was going on with my words there. The bank robbery scene that I'm actually going to
put a spell on you, Chris.
She did. And now she's mine. All right. So no, but it was. I want to do a quotable. I want to do a quotable from that scene. It was you know who you guys are stealing from. You and your friends are dead. That's how I felt.
You and your friends are dead.
You and your friends are dead. No. So seriously, it was not the bank robbery scene. It was a few good scenes. It was a lot of good scenes. But for
it was the coke robbing scene.
No, my scene was dialogue. It wasn't even words. And let me explain. I actually like the scene where he's actually convincing the deputy chief and some other butthole to close Manhattan. For some reason, I have no idea why, but that scene just seemed very exhilarating to me. It seemed like, okay, we're about to get into down to business, and I really, really liked it, and I really liked how in command he was of that scene. Honestly speaking, he was in command this whole movie. This man at the time, and this is me not making fun of his weight or not making fun or light of his situation, because I don't know his situation completely. That's not my business. That's his family's business. But there's a night and day difference between how he looked in this movie and how he looked in Black Panther, right? Okay. However, he still was bad butt in this movie. He still went out there and looked like he was, not to make light of anything, but the Batman. That's how he went out there doing. Like, he was beating, and people were bigger than him, people were younger than him.
He's running around through this whole movie, to your point, Chris. And knowing what we know now, it's incredible.
Correct. And that scene where he's chasing dude down like he's James Bond in Casino Royale at the beginning of the movie. Shout out to that, because we'll talk about that soon. But it was just amazing. So I have to give credit to, and I'll talk more about this in my final thoughts, but I mean, Chadwick just really stole this movie from beginning credits to ending credits. And like I said, I'll talk more about that in the final thoughts. But just the dialogue in that scene, I just thought was really, really telling and really, really powerful. So I actually have to give that as my favorite scene in this movie. Let's go ahead to our least favorite scene in this movie. Vic, let's go back to you.
Well, I really enjoyed this movie. The only thing that I didn't enjoy in this movie was the fake New York that they had on there, because most of this was filmed in Philly. The only part of it that was filmed in New York was when they were in front of Grand Central Station. You could tell that the subway that they were fighting in around when the second gunman got killed, that you could tell that was a Philly train, not a New York train. Mm-hmm. You can also tell by the train station that was Philly, not New York. There is no 23rd Street station on the 7 line, and there is no station in New York that looks like that. So you could definitely tell that was something else by the way that the seating arrangement was. You could definitely see that was a SEPTA train in Philly. So but then I can also understand, because the cost of filming and the permits and all the bullshit BS that you have to go through to get the permits here in New York, to get the filming licenses, it takes a while and it gets into the budget. So I can understand why they did it in Philly and why they just did a couple of little things in New York. But that part, I mean, it didn't take away from the scene. It didn't take away from the movie itself. I just didn't like how there was just certain parts of it that were just like, all right, we'll just throw this together and people will think it's New York. And it's not. And I guess I'm just saying that because I'm a New Yorker, from a New Yorker's perspective, because one of the reasons why I was attracted to this movie is because what I really wanted to see is all right, how are you really going to close down the 21 bridges in Manhattan? You're like, how is that possible? When the first thing that they do is that they say, all right, close the island down. Impossible. I mean, not that it's impossible. It's definitely possible, but it's very difficult to move all those people around in an hour just to go on a manhunt. So, and the way that they pretty much show a helicopter flying over the Brooklyn Bridge, okay, that's really going to stop. You know what I mean? Come on. So, it's just little nuances like that that just didn't make, to a New Yorker would definitely spot it, but anybody else probably wouldn't care or wouldn't know. But yeah, that was it for me.
Let me actually say a few things about what you just said. If you ever mention fake New York and Philadelphia in the same sentence again, we're going to have some issues. Okay,
It was mad fake New York and Philly. Listen. The scepter.
You're not going to do that to my home city.
Try to do a little copy of New York trains. Come on now, shoot fly with that.
You know what? I agree. I could tell it was not New York train system because nobody was peeing. No one was being raped in the corner. I mean, you know what? Philly has a much better transit system than New York ever will have. So I completely understand.
Philly barely has a transit system. Barely. Because use it. People get there. Most people in Philly get on the damn bus. Okay?
Trolley.
Trolley. Even worse. Come on.
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry that your hometown is a small town compared to an actual big city.
Excuse me. We are the 5th largest city in the United States. Do not do that. Do not do that.
So they had to go to Philly because they had a low budget. They had to go to Philly in order to film something and cover it up as if it was New York.
You're watching the promo battle on entertainment.
Sorry.
I'm thinking they went to Philly because they didn't want to get robbed during shooting. James, if you want to go to your worst,
I'll go to Grand Central, right?
I'll go to my worst. For those who are listening at home, that was a promo battle that we're coming up onto. But
a Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl, all of a sudden Philly's all of that. Come on now, please.
Something Vic said it reminded me of another movie that I saw that we all watched that was based in New York, and that kind of bugged me when we were watching the Spider-Man films because nobody in those movies had a New York accent. And in this movie, it's like everybody who opened up their mouth, they had a thick accent. But Peter Parker, who's from Queens, he didn't have an accent. His aunt didn't have an accent. Tony Stark's been living in New York for God knows how long. He didn't have an accent. Nobody had an accent in any of those Spider-Man movies. But Vic still liked them. But anyway, that's all I'm going to say. No, Vic is growing.
I did. But here's the truth, though. I didn't like the fake-ass Forest Hills that they had in Spider-Man. Because that wasn't real.
I'm talking about the accents. You like that movie? That movie is trash.
No, I mean, but here's the truth, though. Like, when it comes to New York accents, gentrification is taking that away. Try to find a Brooklyn accent.
It's not gentrified. Peter Parker is supposed to be a native New Yorker.
He's supposed to be a native New Yorker.
With no accent.
A young native New Yorker. He is a young native New Yorker. Wait, let me finish. Try to find a person. Listen, try to find a person under 50 with a Brooklyn accent. Try to find it anywhere in this country. Try to find a person under 50 years old with a Brooklyn accent. You know why? Because gentrification.
Peter Parker was from Queens. I thought Peter Parker was from Queens.
It doesn't matter though. The point is,
doesn't matter where he's from.
No, my point is this: is that those people with those accents and the way that it resonated with people back then is going away. A New York accent.
You have an accent. I can't hear you.
Listen, my New York accent is nowhere near as thick as other people's used to be.
Your accent does not sound the same way that Chris's does. For those who are watching at home,
I don't have an accent.
I have a New York accent.
Movie.
I don't have an accent.
Of no New York accents. You heard it here. Anyway, let me go to 21 Bridges.
Yeah. All right. Now you trying to throw that on.
Rebroadcast of our reviews for the Spider-Man films. I put a thumbs down. It's garbage. But anyway, my worst is when they're in Grant and Central Station. Okay. Again, I'll just have to say spoiler alert because in order for me to tell you, I have to just go into what happened. Essentially,
does Philly even have a train? I love this. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut.
But at the end of the movie, Howard Boseman's character is beginning to question all of the police because, as I said before, they're like shooting to kill this guy. And even the first person that Vic mentioned, he wasn't even a robber. He was just somebody loosely associated with them. And they shot him dead. Okay.
Yep.
And then planted a gun, a very obvious plant on him, and wouldn't even let the nurse who was right there help. And they had eyewitnesses to that. So he has been piecing these things together. And he's been saying this, but again, he's devoted to the blue line, right? And at the end, he wants to see if his partner, his pseudo partner, who they teamed him up with for this case, is one of them. And so to verify to confirm his suspicions, he feigns like his cell phone is dead. And he asks to use her phone, and then he checks the caller log, right? Now, number one, if he thought that they were all crooked, including this one who he's been working with the whole night, the first thing I would have done is called anybody random. I would have called Subway. You know, I would have called the local McDonald's so that there was a number in the call log so it wouldn't look like I'm beginning to suspect them, because I don't want anybody to come, because I can't trust anybody in the force, right? As far as we know, he doesn't do that, which is why I think the ending happens the way it happens. I won't spoil that for you, but that's why everybody knew that he probably knew what was up, and they were probably watching him, because he asked for the phone and he didn't put it up to his ear. He didn't pretend like he made a call. There was no call on the phone log to throw it off for a little bit. It was just so blatantly obvious. And as Chris was saying, the character is so smart throughout this movie. He's literally, I wouldn't say a step ahead because it'd be impossible to be a step ahead, but he's literally right on the heels of these people who have had, we don't know how long to prep for this, and who are being helped along the way, these robbers, okay? And Chadwick Boseman's character, that his detective, is right there. He knows how the game works. He knows the city. When he talks to the FBI, he tells them this is what you do in order to get the city shut down, and the mayor will okay it, and it'll look good for your president and everything like that, or the leader of the director of the FBI, you know. So it was just a dumb thing for somebody to do who was so smart through the whole movie, and it bugged me. But it's not really a big, you know, plot hole. It was just something I didn't get why he wouldn't at least call whoever, you know what I mean? And have that in the call log to throw off the scent that I'm beginning to suspect you all. Because he really didn't hide the fact that he didn't trust any of them. He had that look on his face. And I thought that's not smart if the whole police department, because you see them all coming up to him and slapping him on the back and slapping his partner on the back, saying, job well done. If you can't trust any of them, you don't want them to suspect that you know that they're crooked. Or at least that you suspect that they're crooked. Would you save it?
Wait. I wanted to say something, because one thing that I did notice is that as soon as his partner, quote unquote partner, shot the guy that was about to be taken in, and mind you, he gave him his gun and he was about to be taken in, and then she came in and shot him, right? So she was looking, she knew clearly what was happening, yeah, exactly. And she came in and shot him. After the fact, when she pretended to make a phone call, that's when he started giving her the side eye. Mm-hmm. That's when I noticed that, because he didn't notice anything about her until that moment. That's when he started looking at her all kind of funny, like, wait a minute, you know what I mean? Because his face, I mean, you're right, his face did give it away. You know, thank you for commenting from the Phantom Zone, but his face did give it away. But you know, you could tell right then and there that he was looking at her all kinds of shady, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, and then the whole phone thing, like,
you saw him put the gun down. And she was like, "Oh, I thought I couldn't see," but clearly she waited until he had the gun down to pull the trigger, and she shot to kill him. She didn't shoot to maim or to just shoot him in the arm, so he dropped the gun. And what you said about them when they were in the meat cooler, when what you said when they were in the meat cooler, and she kept telling him, "Shoot him, shoot him, shoot him." You could kind of brush that away. That this dude has a gun to my temple. Kill this man. If you got a shot, take it. But after that, he was like, it's too much evidence to the contrary. And plus, what this guy has been telling me, and we just had this whole conversation, you didn't tell me you were on the train this whole time? Because we didn't know. The audience doesn't know she's on the train.
Facts.
Because Chadwick literally watches all the other uniformed police officers on there. She snuck on there in civilian clothes. You know, she's wearing civilian clothing, and she hid and just killed this man. And she's been with him when he said, we need to take him in alive. He has information we need. So that to him, like you said, that was it. But he didn't hide it. And I'm thinking to myself, listen, these people will kill you too. Which an attempt was made. I don't want to give that away, but I would have been laughing it up and yucking it up with these people. We got him. It was a good shoot. I'm so proud of you. And then I would have done the research when nobody knew, so that I don't have to. Because remember what the guy says to him: if you do this, you're gonna have to look over your shoulder for the rest of your life. So there's no way I would even, on my face or nothing, that I would have given it away that I suspected that she was lying.
All right, those worst scenes. Let's go to my worst scene. My worst scene is really simple. There was a scene where Michael was in the hotel, I believe. He attacked somebody, he changed the clothes, he got some stuff to, groom himself a little bit, and then he went out and immediately got spotted. So that kind of annoyed me. It's a really petty thing. Small because this movie didn't have a lot of worse scenes in my opinion. Not saying it was an A+ movie, but it didn't have a lot of bad scenes in my opinion. But I did say, okay, they showed him go through all that for him to get caught in like 10 seconds.
Bozeman, right?
10 seconds he walks out the door.
No, it was.
It wasn't Chadwick. It was other people. They spotted him. They called it in.
The cops had blocked the street.
Kitchen. It was the kitchen thing.
Yeah.
Right, the cops blocked the street, but the cops also went into the hotel. Like, he found out that he tried to sneak past the kitchen.
That's right.
The kitchen reported something suspicious, described him, and then they said it, and then they called Chad when he ran. But I'm just saying they went like straight to it. Like he just got off the elevator and it was like, oh, okay, wow.
You know what's crazy about that? Because
give me enough. Because 10 minutes later he's dead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, he was smart enough to go like this during the camera and know like that cops are around and know all of this stuff, but then he could have probably just bullshitted and be like, oh hey, no, I'm sorry, I have to go through here, blah blah blah, this and that, whatever, and not cause any suspicion. Like he was smart enough to keep them off of his tail and stuff like that for a certain amount of time, but then after a while, I guess he just got too nervous and messed things up. He changed himself. He put on the whole Urkel outfit. He shaved. He did that.
But why didn't he shave his head? Was my question. I didn't get that. I would have shaved my head. I would have bought some Clorox. I would have bleached my skin. I would have tried to figure out every way possible to try to look different. This man just gave himself a shake up, put on some clothes, and then went out.
I wonder because the guy is very smart. Like remember, they say in the movie that he's the calculating one. His partner is the very, I have a thought, I'm gonna do it. He's very much the forethought guy, and so he knocks the guy out. So he has an idea of how long this guy's probably gonna be knocked out. And true enough, the guy was awake because he gagged him. Remember, he's like screaming help, and that's when the woman picks up the phone because she got a report that someone was there. He was still gonna walk past the cops, but remember, he does not kill anybody in this movie. The only guy he killed was trying to kill him. He doesn't kill anybody. So I don't think he would have risked going past the cops, not because they might have recognized him, because he did look drastically different. And he looked like he belonged in that yuppie hotel or whatever. But I don't think he wanted to risk it because at that point, when that woman got the phone call, he realized it's the guy saying, hey, some dude robbed me and he's probably in my suit or whatever, but he would have been put in a situation where he had to shoot those cops. And really, he goes out of his way not to kill anybody.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it was best of scenes. Yes, it was a good movie. We'll talk more about that later. That was his best of scenes. It is the worst of scenes. We're going to take a small commercial break. When we come back, we're going to get into quotables, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be right back with a little bit more unpopular reviews. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen, as you find out what we're going to talk about next Tuesday.
It's taking some work, but I finally have them. The worst of the worst. I'm just gonna hurt you. Really, really bad.
We're the Patsies. We're some kind of suicide squad.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, you're watching Unpopular Review Entertainment Edition, reviewing 21 Bridges. Myself here, along with Chief DiBiase and Triboro, here talking about this movie and this film. And we're going to go ahead and go right into our next segment, which is Quotables, where we talk about our favorite quotes from this movie. And we're going to start off once again, with the man who picked this movie, and that is Chief DiBiase. Chief DiBiase, take it away.
Okay, so One of my favorite quotes in this movie is the following. He's one of those detail-oriented MFers. I thought that was really cool. That was a really nice scene because they go to the drug dealer and then the drug dealer's all laughing at them and talking, oh, I screwed you guys over because I screwed another person over. Like, there's not a detail-oriented people in the business. And then Michael comes back. He's like, listen, I want $1 million because you're going to make this and you're going to make that. And then, he's just looking at him like, oh, damn. And then his friend is just like, yeah, he's really one of those detail-oriented MFers. So, like, that was just a big, like, Toma! You know what I mean? I enjoyed it.
Yeah, because he's right. He knew exactly the weight count and everything of what it should be. And so when the guy tries to cheat him, he says, no, $1 million is fair because you'll still make 5 times that amount.
And then, like, go ahead.
They're the only ones who were involved loosely to walk away.
That is true.
Because nobody knew who they went to.
That's true. They did walk away. Like, nobody knows. Yeah,
away.
You actually right. That drug dealer. Facts. They walked away. Nobody. Yeah, for real. That is true. That's crazy.
So the moral of this movie is, if you go into the game, no, that's not the moral. I'm just
James, take it away with
one of those detail-oriented MFs.
So I had two quotes, and both of them are from the end of the movie, and they go like this. This is Chadwick's character. He says, "I'd rather look the devil in the eyes," and I like that because that's who his character is. He's very much black and white. I like characters who, when they say, hey, they have a reputation for being this good, and then they are this good. You know what I mean? Like, everybody says John Wick is Baba Yaga, he's the boogeyman or the witch or whatever like that. And he's actually that good. And so when he says, when they're saying, they're going to come after you, everybody's going to come after you, he says, I'd rather look the devil in the eyes. That doesn't bother me at all. And he just says a very matter of fact. The other one is a little bit later, a few minutes later, and that's from a different character, and I won't give that away. But someone asks them, hey, are you still alive? You still with me? And they respond, you wouldn't ask if you didn't already know. And I love that line because a lot of times people ask the dumbest questions, in my opinion, and I just want to stare at them and say, do you really need me to answer that? You already know. You just want to hear me say something, or you just want to hear somebody else say it, but you already know. Nobody's that stupid, right? And so I love that he said, you wouldn't ask if you didn't already know. If you thought I was dead, you wouldn't be speaking to a dead person, would you? So let's stop acting cute. We know what it is. Let's get it going. And both of them were just cutting out the nonsense. Let's get to it, the nitty gritty, and I like those quotes.
All right, those are good quotes. I actually didn't appreciate the last quote until you just mentioned it, and I was like, hey, you know what? He has a good point. I might start using that, but I'm going to go ahead. This movie, in my opinion, before you mention that, I was going to say they didn't really have a lot of quotables to me, so I was just going to mention what actually drew me to this movie, and I have to go back to that scene. So I'm going to go ahead and read that right now. We got 21 bridges. And actually, let me set up why I'm going to say this, okay? I'm setting up because even though I understand why they did this, this is what I feel like they should do with the whole city of New York. We got 21 bridges in and out of Manhattan. Shut them down. 3 rivers, close them. 4 tunnels, block them. Stop every train and loop the subways. Then we flood the island blue. If I was mayor of New York City, I would close down New York City completely, and I would just flood the entire city with the National Guard and just keep everybody in New York away from the rest of the population of the United States so we can actually live in peace. That's what I would do. So there you go. There you have it. That was my favorite.
You know what, though? Honestly, you know what? I'm going to be honest with you. That's not a bad idea. You want to know why? Because then the rest of you motherfuckers with coronavirus won't be coming and flooding in my city right now. That's why. That's why. So keep your Floridian asses down there, okay? And with all your 2,000 a day spiking numbers, when we only have 500, and mind you, when we have a population of almost 10 million people here, Okay, we almost have almost 10 million people here, and we're doing better numbers than a place that's wide open spaces. So keep your Everglades, keep your swamp, keep your crappy hurricanes and all of your crap down there, and don't ever, and on the mark means ever, think of coming back to New York City. You know why? Because we don't want your contagion.
This has gotten personal.
I completely understand why you would say. I understand why you would say that, because right now in Florida is trying to battle all these New York immigrants that came and gave us the virus because y'all could have contained it up there.
So what is it, Chris? It's a New York virus. It's a New York virus now.
It's a New York virus. That's what it is. I call it the New York. I call it the New York virus.
The New York virus.
I call it the New York virus. This virus,
the New York virus that Florida didn't want to deal with. That Florida don't know how to handle. Because Florida people are too dumb to put on a mask.
The Yankee virus.
They're too dumb to come out like this.
The Yankee virus.
So hold up. How are we the epicenter in the entire country, and all of a sudden we coming out like this, and all of a sudden we number one in the States? Come on now. You talking about a New York virus? Should fly with that, because down there everybody's just hanging out, going to the beach and chilling and acting like whatever, not wearing one of these, not doing their due diligence, not caring about other people, and now look where the numbers at. Come on now. Shoot fly with that. Get out of here with that.
Do you want to know why? Do you want to know why is like that down here in Florida? Do you want to know why? I'll tell you why.
Because people don't listen. No, not ask New York. You know why? Because if you look at the mayor,
Florida's doing an incredible job. Exactly. We have the greatest testing in the country.
No, here's the real reason. Here's the real reason why Florida is trash right now. You want to know why?
Medication. Tell them about the hydroxychloroquine. Tell them.
Ron DeSantis. I don't even blame Florida. I don't blame Floridians. I blame the governor. Ron DeSantis is a crap governor, right?
Did you know Ron DeSantis has ties to New York? Did you know that?
Wait, what? Who doesn't have ties to New York?
I don't.
Who doesn't have ties to New York? Who doesn't have money in New York? What you mean? You don't have ties to New York? You ain't trying to come up to New York to come up to. You ain't start this because of New York. Half of your team ain't from New York.
Half my team's not from New York anymore. Half my team is in Florida. Half my team. New York can't handle it. Everybody in New York, can't handle it. They drop like flies off of sensitivity. Look, I don't want to talk about this anymore.
You got some sensitive females. You got some sensitive females up here. Doesn't mean that everybody in New York is too SAWFT for this. Okay, so you need to shoot fly with all of that. And let's get back to this.
We had some divas. Right? You're right. We got 21 bridges in and out of Manhattan. Shut them down. 3 rivers, close them. 4 tunnels, block them. Stop every train. Loot the subways. Then we flood the island with the vaccine for coronavirus. Okay, that's the end of quarter rules right now.
The hydroxychloroquine, Chris? Is that
I'm not F hydroxychloroquine. I want y'all to drink bleach. All right, so we're about to get fired. We're about to get fired. We're about to get that.
What? All the characters at Disney World are doing that? Everybody in Orlando is doing that? Is that why?
We got to get on track because Boss Lady just showed up backstage. I ain't trying to lose my job. Oh, God. All right. Okay. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to our favorite segment of the evening, and that is
she's in the Phantom Zone.
Okay. All right. Well, apparently there was an explosion. Okay. Apparently there was an explosion, and she broke out, and now she's traveled an ocean of stars to come up to the Ladies and gentlemen, let's go to Recast It.
She is literally a superwoman. That's why they're laughing. She's broken out of her own imposed quarantine to lecture us.
All right. So let's go ahead and go to Recast It.
Right now.
Vic, take it away. Take it away, Vic.
Okay, I have several recasted for this for Chadwick's partner. I don't even remember her name because
what are you doing? That's my recasted. What are you doing?
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I know. I couldn't even remember her name. It was her. Now look, there she is. There she is right next to him, right? And now to replace her woman.
I know.
You know what I mean? I mean, she's just another generic woman. You know what I'm saying? Like I could have easily replaced her with this woman right here. You know, she's just a generic. You know what I mean? Just a generic blonde character. Like you know, you could have just. I could have done.
Is it going to be Karen Silhouette or Melania? Who is going to be recasted as Chadwick's partner?
I mean, I think Melania Trump probably would have done a better job as Chadwick's partner, and she's just as mischievous, so that's fine. But also, like this lady right here,
Michelle Obama
would have been
what?
awesome. Would have been, huh?
Were her lines written by Michelle Obama in this one?
Oh, possibly. Possibly.
We got very political.
Uncredited.
All right, so now my second recasted is you know, the chief of police, because he was the main bad guy. But I just got these kind of vibes from this guy all day. This guy was just straight Ted DiBiase. Because the $1 Million Man always gets his way. And the reason why I say that is because of his little speech at the end when he got caught. When he started talking about all the cops that wanted to have a good life, and it wasn't about buying material things, and it was just about, like, he's talking about the divorce rate on the force. He's talking about people that you know, that just lost all types of things because of finances, especially after a city that doesn't care about them. But the reality of the situation is that the city doesn't care about cops because cops don't care about the people. And it's not about George Floyd, and it's not about anything that happened recently. When Hurricane Sandy happened, that's when we saw the truth as to what happens with the NYPD. At the end of the day, these people are just here for a goddamn pension. And that is why this resonated with me so much. Now, mind you, you can't put every police department in under the same boat. You know why? Because they don't have the same funding, they don't have the same numbers, and they don't have the same number of people that they have to they don't have the same type of jurisdictions. Right. But the reality of the situation here is that most of the people in the police department are only in it for the funding. You know what I mean? The pension, the benefits, and the salary. And that's it at the end of the day. Don't get me wrong. There's some good cops like this guy. Don't get me wrong. They are. But the reality of the situation is that they're small in numbers. And this is why this guy right here is a very perfect example of the chief of police. Because he's very corruptible, and the $1 Million Man always has a price. And everybody has a price. You know what I mean? Because that really just shows you that everybody has a price. There's a number for everybody to get corrupted.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's Big Portables. Now we're going to go over to Try Borough. Try, what is your opinion, recasted?
Well, let me just say to pick up right where Vic left off, I think that was pretty accurate because the chief is like, we didn't do it for material things, not for cars and getaway houses. And then he goes to say, we did it so that we would have money in our pockets, so that we wouldn't get divorced and everything like that. I'm like, so you just kept the money, you didn't spend it, but it's all about money. What are you talking about? You're doing the same thing.
Facts.
So listen, I didn't pick Melania. Spoiler alert, I didn't pick Baron either. Okay. But I too said just pick one to recast my female partner in Dread, my pick. I said, you know what? Let me share this hate. I'm gonna recast his partner. Who did I recast it at? Well, you already know because Vic spoiled it because he's a hater. Okay. But I did this with Dana Beck. And if you watch Law and Order SVU, Dana Beck, or Danny Beck, rather, she was partnered up with Christopher Maloney, okay, who's coming back. And where did they serve? The great city of New York. So I thought that would be a great pick. Plus, the outfit that she wore in her season looks smack like this detective who just rolled out of bed, who has a little girl, and they had the same attitude. You know what I mean? The only thing she was missing was the accent that Danny Beck's character had. So they just reminded me of that. But then I thought, you know what? Let me go ahead and recast some other ones because I'm having fun. The next one that I said I'm going to recast, I said, listen, this guy reminds me of the Game Master on Thor Ragnarok. If you saw that episode, I wasn't in it. But anyway, you should still watch it and support. But I said, he reminds me of the Game Master. And there he is. And why? Because they both had those fly robes and everything like that. They looked like they were wearing, cost a lot of money. They dressed better than me and they looked more comfy, and I hated them for that. You know what I mean? I'm a hater, all right? But this is Doran Martell from Game of Thrones, for you fans of Game of Thrones. And this is Alexander Siddiq. And that's the same man who portrayed the character in 21 Bridges. I love him as an actor. He's a great actor. And this is also him early in the 21st century, around our time, in the San Francisco district, which is amazingly on fire. Did DS9 know? Did DS9 know?
That'll be Star Trek Deep Space Nine for all you non-intellectual beings.
Yeah, Chris Moonblast. All right. So that's a callback from the last episode. But anyway, so I thought that could be a great recast. But I have two more. Okay. Now, Vic talked about him, the chief of police. Here's who I saw him as. The minute he came in there and he said, "Hey, you're the guy who shoots, and I'm gonna have my men taint the crime scene by just sitting in puddles of blood and everything like that." I said, this guy reminds me of something. No, it's not J. Jonah Jameson. It's this guy, Snidely Whiplash, because he was a mustache twirling villain. And I said to myself, I don't know what he's done, but he's guilty of something. And lo and behold, who's the world's greatest detective? Me, because I knew it. And the end of the movie proved it. I was right. Snidely Whiplash, okay, as chief of police. Well, that's what Quark says. Quark says, thank you for improving my faith in the rules of acquisition, that every man has his price. And he said that to Cisco in DS9. Chris Moonman.
Another Deep Space Nine reference. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, that is
James. Let me just do one more.
Go ahead.
Okay. And my last one, this is a deep dive, okay, because I'm an aficionado, okay? If Chrissy were here, she'd be hating, but she's not here, so she can't hate. But the father figure in this movie was played by actor Keith David. And I said he did a fantastic job. But you know what? There's somebody who could have even been better. And I said it could have been Goliath. That's right. From Gargoyles, Goliath could have been the father figure for Chadwick Boseman's character. Okay.
Fun fact: if you did not know, Goliath was actually voiced by Keith David.
Are you serious? Is that why I picked him? Do you see how they're all woven, interconnected? I does it.
Are you still with me? All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is Unpopular Review. That was none other than James and Vic's recasted. Now let's go ahead and mine. Ironically, I'm going to start off with somebody that was just picked as a recasting. No, I don't have Goliath though, but I do have Keith David, as I thought that he was somebody that should have been recasted, and I actually picked this guy right here. I think he would have been a very good Deputy Chief Spencer in this movie, and that's not saying anything negative about that. So shout out to him for that. The other person I want to recast is Michael in this movie, because I feel like anybody could have played him, but I would have put him with the up and coming actor, and that's Rome Flynn, because I think he does a pretty good job, and you could have put him into it, and he would have been a sympathetic tweener in the wrestling terms, because he was a villain and a somewhat hero in this movie. So those are my recasts.
He's really good at Black Panther.
Mm-hmm. All right, so ladies and gentlemen,
where are these people from?
Black Panther. Sorry, no.
He was in Black Panther.
Rome Flynn was not in Black Panther.
No, not Black Panther. Black Lightning. Excuse me.
Rome Flynn was not in Black Lightning.
Let's do that scene over again. Where are these guys?
He is in Black Lightning. He is in Black Lightning. What are you talking about?
Rome Flynn was.
What are you talking about? Yes, he is. Hold up. Put his picture up again. I know that face. Yes, that's the kid in Black Lightning. That's the guy that fights the girl, and they put a chip in his head, and he's the one that.
That's not him. That's not him. That's not. How you gonna tell me? That's not him. I put that guy up here a couple weeks ago. That's not the same guy. Okay, so you go ahead, you search for Rome Flynn, you ask Google, and you have a brand new iPhone. You can ask Siri if you want to do that, and you'll find out who that's in. But ladies and gentlemen, Michael
brand new iPhone. I mean that's just for people that need vocals, man. I got a Note 20 Ultra. You better recognize. What's wrong with you?
I'm so proud of you, ladies and gentlemen. You're watching Unpopular Reviews, 21 Bridges. When we come back, we're going to talk about none other than the final thoughts of this movie. But this time, we're going to see the movie we're going to review next week. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. We're watching Unpopular Review.
Romeo is ready.
Leonardo DiCaprio, Claire Danes in William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet.
Okay, I'm gonna sit that one out under protest.
And I forget who reported this, but I thought it was bullshit anyway because it was Ringside News that reported it first, and then I was like, oh well, it seems bullshit to me. So the rumor was that Lana, because she was on her TikTok promoting this energy drink called Bang. There she is right there. This looks like a Photoshop picture, but so apparently this was the picture that got everybody in hot water over third-party usage and whatnot, using their likeness to promote other stuff. And Lana was quick to tweet out that this was bullshit. Chris, have you ever banged?
No.
You've never had a bang?
No.
When you drink more than one at a time, let's say you have 3 bangs at a time, is that a threesome?
No. I've never had a bang on a Mountain Dew while on coke. No, I've never done. I've never done any of this. No. Ladies and gentlemen, Unpopular Review, Entertainment Edition. What you just saw was Unpopular Review.
That's funny.
What you just saw was Unpopular Review Raw Edition, which happens every single Monday if you're a wrestling fan, immediately after Monday Night Raw at 11:05 p.m. Eastern. And of course, next Thursday we're going to be reviewing 1996's Romeo and Juliet, starring Leonardo DiCaprio, which was the Superior's pick for next Thursday. So stay tuned for that one.
Well, Chris, will be back from the Phantom Zone to review that movie? I don't know.
I think that Christy will. Unfortunately, I will be sick that day, so I won't be able to review that movie.
Mm. Will you tell us what your pros and cons of the movie are and troll us from the comments?
No. I'm gonna
be
very sick. I'm gonna be throwing up. I won't be able to.
So Vic's just telling you he's going to be pregnant. Okay, final thoughts. I don't have See the Superior's final thoughts, but I do have her grade for this movie. It's going to be a thumbs up for her for this movie. So now we're going to get into the person who picked this movie, and that is Chief DiBiase. Chief DiBiase, take it away. Final thoughts.
Well, like I said before, shout out to Chadwick Boseman, Wakanda Forever. That's the main reason why I picked this movie. I mean, he rest in peace. However, the other reason why I picked this movie because I thought it was very good. Chadwick gets a lot of attention for his Black Panther, and not necessarily for others. Like I like this one. I really like Get On Up, and the guy is definitely going to be missed. So I wanted to show him some love and some respect. Now, as far as this movie goes, I really loved the authenticity of it. As far as them trying to portray New York, even though there were certain spots that you could tell were really fake, but I really like the authenticity of it. If you're a New Yorker, you're definitely going to enjoy this movie, at least the fantasy part of it, of them actually trying to close down Manhattan, which is, in my opinion, impossible to do with because there's just so many moving parts that come to New York City. When it comes to the way that the story was told, it was awesome because I was really engaged. I wasn't bored at any part of this movie. The quotes were great. The scenes were great. The partner sucked. Maybe this person could have done a better job as a partner because she's just another generic woman. But anyway. But yeah, I mean, this movie definitely gets a thumbs up for me. I would watch it again. I would Netflix and chill on this movie. I think it's great. There you go. All right. You know, it's on you, right, James?
Oh, is it? I'm sorry. There was nothing. Be on there. I was just writing notes.
Yeah. Okay. So take it off of him for a second, Chris.
No, I was saying the three of us can be on there. It doesn't have to be a large screen, but it doesn't matter.
Okay.
All right. So I did enjoy this movie. Right. There is a lot that's going on in this movie. And for me, when I was watching it, in a way, it's almost like two different films, right? The beginning, very much, it's almost like Chadwick Boseman is not even the star of the film.
Facts.
You think, or you forget, at least up until midway, because the movie is only an hour and 30 something minutes long, that it's about these two robbers and this heist turn murder, and them trying to escape the city. And Chadwick Boseman is almost like a co-star, or and not actually the star of the movie, even up until the end. In that he closes out the movie, but really Michael, who is being chased by Chadwick's character, that's the one who the camera is following. That's the one who the story is revolving around. What did he know? What did he find out on these flash drives and everything like that? And it's almost who Chadwick gets justice for at the end of the movie, because Michael was killed unjustly in that he was another unarmed man. So I really kind of want to rewatch the movie and see if I view it a different way. But it wasn't jarring, but it very much to me was like almost two different films, or like I had to forget that Chadwick wasn't the star of the movie. That said, when Chadwick showed up in the movie, it was his movie, and he stole every scene he was in. He didn't chew up the scenery. It made sense what he was saying. His character was intelligent. He was capable. He ran like hell through this movie. And to know, even in part, what we know now about what he was going through, when you consider, we mentioned all the other films that he was in, the fact that when he did Black Panther, he was already diagnosed with cancer, and that he was fighting that. And for him to fight that pain daily to film a movie, for the love of filmmaking, but also to have something to provide for his family, I think that's very commendable. And I respect that a great deal. But let me go back into this movie itself. I said earlier that I didn't know if I had the distrust of the police because of natural inclination, or not natural, but a learned inclination, or if they kind of hinted at it. And I think it's both, to be fair. But in this movie, you see that the majority of the police, they shoot to kill. The majority of the police escalate, they don't de-escalate. And the majority of them are corrupt, and the decent ones are shunted to the sidelines. Now, I'm not talking about small town America where you know the sheriff by name and you know the local policeman because they live next door and their kids are friends with your kids and you have the sleepover. That's not the reality of city life. It's just not. The same way we can't comprehend what it's like in that small town setting. One is not better than the other. It's just the reality of the difference of the situation. And in a big city like that, when you have an influx of cash that dwarfs education, that dwarfs medical, that dwarfs emergency services almost, it's appalling that, again, the majority of the police shoot to kill, they escalate and don't de-escalate, and that they're corrupt. And even if we're going to say that they get paid a low wage, they weren't conscripted. They signed up for that. So if you're telling me that I should cut them some slack, nobody's saying this, but I'm just, if the argument is made that they should be cut some slack, and they can do this on the side, and they can be criminal to a certain degree because they work along a lot of long hours and, they make very little money. They signed up for that. The same way a taxi driver shouldn't treat me like I'm a criminal because of my dark skin. And oftentimes they have dark skin too, but they refuse to pick me up. Now Uber has changed the game and they're crying, right? But before then, I couldn't get a cab. They signed up for that. I never hear soldiers who come back and their feet are all messed up and they have psychological damage and they need medical care and they've seen things that no human being should see, and they haven't been fighting World War II. No, they've been fighting to help these corporations earn more money, right? Let's keep it real. They don't complain as much as these police unions do. And I don't hear of a lot of soldiers just going off popping rounds in civilians like that. And when they do, oh yes, they are brought up on charges. They are dealt with. Tell me the last time a cop is dealt with. So this movie really, really went there, and I appreciate that. And I'm sorry, I always seem to go long on it, but I really like to break down these movies. And I'm shocked for a movie that is really about cops. They did not show them as these grand heroes, and I appreciated that.
Yeah, me too.
Thumbs up for me.
All right. So the reason why this movie is a multi-layered movie to me is because it told multi stories in this movie. All right. So let's go ahead and start off with the facts. Facts of this movie. Oh, not even set up. No, I'm set up. Facts of this movie. This movie got a 6.6 out of 10 on IMDb.com. This movie cost $33 million to make. It made $49 million worldwide. $28 million of it came from the United States. It was not financially successful. It came out with minimal fanfare, and it just declined shortly after that. So keep that in mind. Now, that being said, some of the things that I liked about this movie is Chadwick Boseman. Well, I'll talk about him last. Let's talk about the story. The story I thought was good. It was intriguing. It was mysterious. It had you thinking. Some people could figure it out midway through the movie, which is fair, but it still had you thinking throughout the movie. I mentioned a couple months ago about another movie. I can't remember which one it was. How there really wasn't a lot of heroes in that movie. Pretty much everybody, I think it was American Beauty. Everybody was a hero and a villain to a certain extent. Tweeners. I said it earlier, except for Chadwick. And even to his credit, I can't completely say he was 100% a hero, because we don't know completely the circumstances about the people he has killed. They kept that a little bit of open-ended question. All you knew is they were cop killers, but you don't know all the time that he shot them first. He just went in and shot first and asked questions later because he already had the proof he needed. The code, shout out to Dexter, the code that he was able to prove that they were murderers. But I do want to talk about what makes this movie good. And a part of it possibly is he just recently passed away. But Chadwick Boseman stole every scene that he was in. And I'm watching this movie and I'm appreciating things. And it's sad that you appreciate people and things when they're gone. Chadwick in the last 5 to 10 years has played Thurgood Marshall, Black Panther, Jackie Robinson, played in this movie.
James Brown.
Thank you. I do not like saying that somebody is the next anybody because I feel like it's disrespectful. So I want you to understand and appreciate the respect I'm giving him for saying this. If this man kept on going, this man could be the next, I'll say Morgan Freeman or any of the other Sidney Poitier, any of the other African-American vets and actors that we have had or have. And at the age of 42, I believe, when he passed away, I think he still can be considered one. He has played in a lot of movies and played those roles very well. And it's a shame that he was taken away from us so soon. And we're never going to really be able to see this man work again because it was a tremendous thing. Now, the things I did not like about this movie, it was good. In 5 years, if it wasn't for the fact Chadwick has passed away, I would easily forget about it. It was good. It was respectable, but I would easily forget about it because it's not something that I'm going to ingrain in my memory forever. I enjoyed it. I paid money. I'm good. That being said, it will still get a thumbs up for me, 4 thumbs up right here for us at unPOPULAR Reviews. And I have to say, I think we're getting soft because we keep giving a lot of thumbs up lately. Let's see how Romeo.
We're watching good movies, though. I mean, but trust me, once we get to Romeo and Juliet, that's going to change.
It may surprise you what I think of that movie, because I did see that movie in the movie theater. I'm dating myself now, but I did see that. The first time I saw that, I couldn't understand what the hell they were saying. But now having a better grasp of what's being said, I have to say I think it is better, as they say, to watch Shakespeare in your colloquial modern English or context, and oftentimes it's presented back in the 1300s when it's supposed to be set, as opposed to the '96 movie, which is than contemporary Miami. I think they're supposed to be in, and it makes more sense when you watch it that way, even though they're speaking with Elizabethan English. Just a little spoiler. So I'm always fair to these movies, even the ones that Chrissy picks, because that's who I am. I'm Mr. Fair. But I will find something to hate. Spoiler alert: if she likes anything in that movie, I'm gonna hate on it just because she was like it.
All right. Well, truth be told, I have never seen this movie, so I'm curious to see how it's going to be next week. I'm kind of dreading to see it, but it's a movie I haven't seen, so I'm going to watch it. I'm going to give it a fair assessment, and we'll talk about it right here next Thursday. Ladies and gentlemen, you watch Unpopular Reviews Entertainment Edition. Please make sure that you like, love, and share this video to all of your timelines and groups. Yes, Vic.
I just want to say one thing about this movie. One thing that got me very excited, and
one thing
with the very, very beginning, I was happy to see this kid. I was very happy to see this kid. And let me tell you something. Anybody that watches Shameless knows that this child right here is the future. In Shameless, he is Liam Gallagher and one of the best characters in that show. This kid right here is awesome. 10 years from now, watch. This kid right here is going to do amazing things. His name is Christian Isaiah, I think it is. But trust me, this kid is going places. I'm telling you.
Even when you're secret in the works,
right, exactly. That's exactly what I was going to do. You had to find something. You knew there was no way 21 Bridges was going to come up with 22 Bridges.
I didn't say all of that. I didn't even say all of that. All I'm
you did, but you found a way.
Look. All I'm saying is
something. Something's going to lead to something. You had to find something.
Is that this kid right here is the future. That's what I'm saying. Even if they do 22 Bridges, I'm not saying they're going to do that. I'm not saying that because it doesn't make any sense unless they build another bridge. But this kid right here as an actor is amazing. Amazing. Trust me. This kid right here is going to be the next Leo. Guaranteed.
Thank you so much for watching us or listening to us. We will see you this coming Tuesday at 9 o'clock for Suicide Squad. In the meantime, for See the Superior, for the Mark, for Tri Burrows. I'm the executive.
Very good.
You have a good